Hi everyone, this is Dawood from AutoMarketplace. So today we got a really interesting article, so let's get right into it. So the title of the article is "Did American Lease Just Buy Fisker?" So for those who don't subscribe to us, what we usually do is we have a newsletter that's fairly well read in the NYC for hire transportation or TLC taxi industry. And so what we do is we basically in this format we embed here it is. We embed the video that we're doing. We basically speak to the article that we're publishing, and then we embed this video into the article. And so we'll provide all the relevant links in the description of this of the YouTube video. And so let's get right into it. So American Lease, one of the largest NYC TLC rental companies, reaches deal to acquire thousands of all-electric SUVs from bankrupt Fisker, along with company software source code. What's going on? So here are the main bullet points that we outlined. American Lease is one of the largest NYC TLC rental companies with close to 5,000 for-hire vehicle licenses, otherwise known as TLC plates in the industry. Green Rides requirements. So the Green Rides initiative, just for those who don't know, and we'll kind of talk about that at length. What it was is that it was New York City basically requiring that all trips done on Uber and Lyft, known as high volume basis, have to be done 100% in a wheelchair accessible vehicle known as a WAVE, or an electric or zero emission vehicle. So that was the Green Rides initiative. So Green Rides requirement that 100% of all NYC FHVs used for high volume trips, Uber and Lyft, to be either wheelchair accessible or electric by 2030 is forcing rental companies like American Lease to make huge investments to transition fleets. Fisker, an electric vehicle startup that recently filed for bankruptcy, agreed to sell over 3,000 of its luxury Ocean SUVs to American Lease. Up to $46 million transaction, or an average of $14,000 per Fisker Ocean, was approved by bankruptcy court today. And the MSRP, and we'll get into this on these Oceans, were 40 to 60,000 plus. So that's a huge difference. Fisker produced a total, from our estimation, of close to 10,000 Oceans before going bankrupt. For the North American market, American Lease is also set to gain access to Fisker's software source code. So just a disclaimer, we're working to confirm whether the final transaction terms were different than the originally proposed deal. We think it's very, very similar, if not exactly the same. But we will, work to confirm that and do a follow-up article or video if need be. Okay, so we're going to read this article verbatim. It's not that long of an article, and we'll obviously, hopefully bring this article to life rather than just, read it. We'll add our 2 cents to it. So here we go. American Lease, one of the largest NYC for hire transportation rental companies, is usually a name only people involved in the TLC industry know of. Recently, that's changed. The NYC rideshare focused leasing companies being mentioned in the national business news outlets like Wall Street Journal, TechCrunch, and major automotive publications like Car and Driver and Motor Trend. It was all related to American Lease's plan to buy over 3,000 all-electric SUVs from bankrupt EV startup Fisker. Earlier today, American Lease's proposed transaction was approved in a Delaware bankruptcy court. So the major news today is that this has been in the media for a couple of weeks. I think the Wall Street Journal was in maybe June 21st or something along those lines, reported this, kind of broke this story really. But today the deal got approved, which is different. Before it was a proposed deal. So the deal got proposed. So there's a real thing now that's going on. So over the past several days, the AutoMarketplace team spoke with American Lease executives to understand the reasoning behind making the offer for Fisker's unsold EV fleet. Undoubtedly a brave bet the company business decision. The TLC leasing company also allowed the AutoMarketplace team to test drive a Fisker Ocean SUV. So for those who may not know or might not follow us, we actually run a small TLC leasing company, and so we actually know the American Lease team. So they were generous enough to speak to us about this transaction, and also gave us a Fisker Ocean SUV to test drive, which you'll see in the back half of this video with Adrian Cruz, part of the AutoMarketplace team, test drives that. So you'll see that after this video. So below, we share a quick video overview of this article and brief review of the Fisker Ocean from Adrian. From our research, it appears close to 10,000 Fisker Oceans were produced before the company filed for bankruptcy. Therefore, the sale of over 3,000 Oceans and access to software source code, we'll explain this below, would be a big deal for several reasons. Specifically, Other Fisker Ocean owners across North America will be closely tracking what a transaction could mean for them and whether they can effectively maintain and repair their vehicles, including recall work. I believe a water pump or something along those lines, all oceans that were produced need a recall related to that part. So it's kind of a big deal. Okay, green rides mandate. When we spoke to American Lease, they stated the following. So this is an official American Lease statement. American Lease wants to be the leader in electrification and wants to bring affordable EVs to the NYC for-hire vehicle FHV market. Remember, NYC's recently passed Green Rides initiative requires 100% of all for-hire high-volume base trips, only Uber and Lyft at the moment, to be completed in either a wheelchair-accessible, wave, or zero-emission vehicle EV. Since most of American Lease's rental customer base works with Uber and Lyft in NYC, they have a huge task in front of them. How does American Lease make their fleet of 5,000 vehicles compliant with the Green Rides mandate? Although 2030 seems like a long way off, NYC drivers and fleets have to be thinking about the transition right now. For example, if the average auto loan is 5 to 6 years, or a leasing company's math is based on a vehicle having a 3 to 5 year useful life, the all EV or wave transition mostly has to happen by 2027, only 3 years from now. American Lease confirmed to us that the primary motivation behind the perspective, behind the now completed Fisker transaction relates sorry about this lie about it, relates to its strategy around green rides compliance. And so just so, not to bore you with details, but basically this was kind of what the New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission mandate looks like. It's actually a staggered mandate. So by 2013, all EV and wave trips done on Uber and Lyft or high volume basis in New York City have to be 100% by 2030, 80% by 2029. So although it's a 2030 mandate, like we said, it's really a 2027 mandate in our opinion, especially when you got in transition, American Lease has to transition 5,000 plus cars to this. So they got to think about this sooner rather than later. Okay, so why is American Lease buying Fisker Oceans? First, some very brief background of Fisker. Fisker Inc. was automotive designer and entrepreneur Henry Fisker's second attempt at creating an EV startup company. His first attempt, Fisker Automotive, a different company, filed for bankruptcy in 2013. Although Fisker Inc. managed to successfully list on the stock market in 2020 via a deal supported by well-known investment firm Apollo, the company struggled to scale and ultimately ran out of money. Obviously, there's a lot more to the story, but that isn't the focus of this article. So just a Fisker stock chart, obviously it's bankrupt, obviously. So the value of the equity is gone. So now you have creditors who probably are looking to recover their money, but the equity is pretty much gone to zero, almost zero. This is the worst car I've ever reviewed. So that's not us saying that, but the Fisker Ocean is probably best known for the brutal review YouTube influencer Marquise Brownlee gave it earlier this year in a video titled, "This is the worst car I've ever reviewed." A lot of you probably have heard about this review, especially Fisker Ocean owners. This was a big deal, as Brownlee is widely followed and has millions of subscribers across his social media channels. It was so bad, he even did a second review after the company requested it of the Ocean with Fisker's latest 2.0 software update. I think the last update they had was 2.1, and American Lease's car will carry the 2.1 software update, I believe. That's what they told us. Finally, he did a follow-up review explaining and sticking with the harsh review of his harsh review of the Fisker Ocean. The Fisker was a terrible car. It is a terrible car. That's his words, not ours. Okay, so that's background. So getting back to why is American Lease buying Fisker Oceans? If this guy is saying it's not any guy, this guy who's very well respected is saying that this is the worst car ever, or he's ever reviewed, I should say. So is the Fisker Ocean really that bad? If you actually watch Brownlee's initial review, it's not as bad as the video title makes it sound. He even says the build of the Ocean is really nice with good exterior styling, a nice interior, and over 350 miles of range. The main issues revolve around quirks in the vehicle, airport style trays, no glove box, bad key fob, glitchy software, and somewhat awkward drive, especially related to idle creep. And so you'll see this in our review done by Adrian coming up, where idle creep is in an EV when you usually put your foot off the brake, it comes to kind of complete stop. but with the Ocean, it kind of creeps like a gas car, so that's kind of weird. Um, I'm not. Maybe they'll have some update to fix that, but that's something that we actually experienced, and it seems like um, Marquise experienced that, and then another reviewer, Rich Rebuilds, also experienced that. But it was kind of a quirky car. So we think Brownlee's main point was no one should be spending $40,000 to $60,000 plus buying the Ocean. The vehicle's original MSRP, manufacturer suggested range price, original MSRP range, retail price, sorry, manufactured suggested retail price range. In our opinion, that's kind of a fair point and leads us back to American Lease's Fisker transaction. So I think what, in our opinion, our interpretation of Marquise Brownlee's review was, this is the worst $50,000 car I've ever reviewed. And the that is kind of a fair point, that for the price of the car, it has a lot of quirks and it's not ideal, and obviously it needs a little more iteration. So after driving the Fisker Ocean, so I actually drove it myself as well. After driving the Fisker Ocean American Lease provided us, we definitely don't think it's the worst car ever, but rather a quirky premium vehicle that, one, was initially too high, was initially priced too high, and two, needed to go through a few more design and technical iterations. It's actually a pretty good looking car, to tell you the truth. And given Henrik Fisker's design background with Aston Martin, it doesn't surprise us. But there's a lot of good things about the car. After Brownlee's review, we think another video by well-known YouTube influencer Rich Rebuilds is worth watching. Note the video was made before Fisker's bankruptcy. So Rich Rebuilds, we think that's a really good video to watch, and we'll provide the link to that, and also it's in our newsletter. So this is a quote from the video. So this is before Fisker's bankruptcy. I feel bad for people who paid $60,000 for the Fisker Ocean. For $25,000, I'd raise my eyebrows. If it was for sale for $20,000, I'm all in. And if they ever get to $15,000, I'd buy two of them. I think the Ocean brackets is quirky, a little weird, but I think it's unique because I have the bandwidth to keep it going. When we do repair them, we can share the knowledge with other Fisker owners as well. So he kind of hits the nail on the head, in our opinion, in terms of how American Lease is thinking about it. So for a cheap enough price, the Ocean could provide a cost-effective way for American Lease to transition its NYC rideshare fleet to EVs, i.e. green rides mandate, and also allow for other potential financial upsides, sell parts, provide software upgrades to other Fisker Ocean owners. By the way, Rich actually did end up buying an Ocean for $10,000 a few days ago. American Lease executives also told us that the Oceans they would acquire have 360 miles of range, will have recalls completed, the latest 2.0 software update, and are all apologies for this, all-wheel drive. According to the NYC for Hire vehicle rental company, the battery pack and chassis of the Oceans are not proprietary, can still be directly sourced. Note, the Ocean was assembled by automotive contract manufacturer Magna Steyr, which also makes vehicles for Mercedes. I think they make the G-Wagon, if I'm not mistaken, BMW, Toyota, and Jaguar. I think the I-Pace or E-Pace, if I'm not mistaken. In other words, perhaps American Lease might be able to source parts from Magna still, just a guess. So our point there, and I think it's a more technical point an American Lease mentioned to us, is that the Fisker Ocean actually used a third-party automotive contract manufacturer, Magna Steyr. So they don't have their own factory or anything like that. So Magna, I think, is probably using more quote unquote off the shelf components to make the Fisker. So they might be using like a cattle battery or something, or the chassis in the Fisker might be used in another vehicle. Again, this is speculation, but the fact that it was made by Magna, a contract manufacturer, might make this might make this a little more doable, I should say, in terms of if you acquire a lot of the cars, you probably could maybe still source the parts potentially. Again, that's just a guess of ours, and I think American Lease implied that to us, but maybe we misread what they're trying to say to us. Okay, so ultimately, American Lease tells us it's hoping to offer premium EVs at competitive rental rates to obviously NYC rideshare drivers. The Fisker transaction definitely comes with risks, but the pitch is believable and compelling. They bought the vehicles for a very good price, and that should mitigate risks. Time and NYC streets will be the ultimate judge, though. So, like we said, we know the American Lease team. We run a small NYC TLC rental company, and New York City, driving these cars basically as an Uber or a taxi, it's going to test any car in a way that very few roads and very few environments can test cars. So that's going to be interesting to observe what happens there. Okay, so finally, to conclude, it says transaction details. Why is Fisker selling its unsold fleet to American Lease, given American Lease's deal was just officially approved again today? This is officially approved, although it was in the news. For this piece, we're assuming the final deal is relatively in line with what was outlined in the bankruptcy document a few weeks ago. The following headlines we believe are noteworthy if the deal is completed as was originally proposed. So we went over in the bullet points, basically a little over 3,000 Ocean SUVs. I think it's like 3,200, a little more than that, up to 46 million. So it's roughly about 14,000 per vehicle. And then this is really interesting. In one of the bankruptcy documents, it says American Lease referred to as the buyer, I think, may own or otherwise acquire hereunder or otherwise all relevant source code or other proprietary software operating elements, as well as existing developer work. So that's very interesting. In terms of why Fisker is selling its fleet, the answer is pretty simple. They need money to make payroll for remaining employees, fund their bankruptcy, and pay secure creditors who are likely looking to be paid sooner rather than later. So although the equity might be wiped out, as we went over with the unfortunate stock chart, they still have creditors who are looking to, like the people who've loaned Fisker money, who can potentially recover money. So that's another reason why they want to sell the fleet. And so we write that given the value of the company's unsold Ocean SUV fleets could significantly depreciate in the coming months, Fisker's largest creditor, Heights Capital Management, likely wanted to complete a bulk deal to maximize their recovery, percent of money owed to them by Fisker. So okay, so what does that mean? What's the point we're trying to make? What's the point we're trying to make with that statement? And so the point we're trying to make with that statement is that if you try to sell each of these Fisker Oceans individually, you're probably, it's a bankrupt automotive manufacturer who's going to buy it for, like Rich Bills bought it for $10,000. People would be very scared of buying it, so they're looking for a method on how to maximize how much they can get for the remaining fleet. So doing a bulk deal makes a lot of sense. And TechCrunch, I think, recently reported that most people, including unsecured creditors and Magna, were for the deal. I think there are just a few holdouts for the deal, but most people were for this transaction, even going into today's hearing. So, in conclusion, while American Lease didn't actually buy the company Fisker Inc., it will own 30% of all vehicles, close to 30% of all vehicles the company ever produced after its transaction is complete, have unique access to its software, and can engage its previous contract manufacturer, Magna. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but the facts and circumstances are intriguing. If American Lease becomes an expert at running and maintaining Fisker Oceans, maybe something interesting happens. For now, though, it's just pure speculation. Finally, we wanted to thank the American Lease team for allowing us to test drive a Fisker Ocean. We'll do a follow-up story and longer review on the Ocean as we gather more details and as thousands of Fiskers ultimately hit NYC streets. If you're a TLC licensed driver and are interested in leasing a Fisker Ocean when they become available, email us at info@automarketplace.com. So just to conclude this article, and then does the second part of this video, which is just about a 10-minute short review of the Fisker Ocean with Adrian, is that, it's kind of an interesting transaction. So basically, American Lease, and they're a large enough fleet that they can vertically integrate. They're going to set up their own shops and probably hire technicians. They're probably going to become an expert at maintaining a Fisker Ocean. And if they become an expert at this car and they still have access to the battery packs and they can use the third-party manufacturer to do things and they have access to the software source code, they're not to be clear they're not acquiring the equity of Fisker Inc. They're not buying Fisker, but if they own 30% of all vehicles that Fisker ever made, Fisker Inc. ever made in the oceans, that's kind of interesting. It's intriguing, like what this story could develop in if it's successful. But just to be clear, they're just acquiring 3,000 Fiskers. They're not acquiring the company Fisker out of bankruptcy. They're not acquiring the equity, if you will, of Fisker. So we hope you found this story interesting. We'll provide the links and everything in the description, and we'll probably do a follow-up videos. But we hope you appreciate Adrian's review after this, and thanks for the time.
How you guys doing? This is Adrian from AutoMarketplace.com. As you guys can see what I have behind me, I have an exclusive. This is the Fisker Ocean 1. If you guys have been following the news, there's been a lot of controversy of what's been going on with this company. Pretty much, they filed for bankruptcy. American Lease, they are a company in New York City that rents out rental vehicles for rideshare platform, Uber and Lyft. So this is what's going to be on their platform coming soon to New York City. Drivers, you guys are going to love it. It has pretty cool features. And passengers, you guys also going to love sitting in the back. The back chairs adjust as well. And most of the time, no cars have that adjustment unless it's luxury. This car has a lot of cool features for you guys as well. Hope you guys are going to enjoy. And then I'm going to get into a couple details about the car in a couple minutes. I'm going to give you guys a quick walkthrough of the vehicle. Right here we got beautiful LED lights. We have 22-inch rims. This is your charge port. Very simple. All electric cars are kind of similar now. If you guys come here, if you guys look at the handles, I actually like these handles better than other cars. I prefer this type of handle that pops out. And if you guys come over here, if you guys are wondering why you have two brake lights, this is actually for 18-wheelers on the highway so they can see you actually braking. So as you can see here, we have this, the tailgate, the window actually rolls up and down, giving you guys access to load longer loads. Pretty simple here, you just press it. Tailgate goes up, down. So as you guys can see, the trunk is really spacious. There's a couple compartments under here. One of the cool features that this has, when you open this, you place it in this position, and you can hang things here. Whether you're at the beach, you want to hang your shoes so they could dry. Then if you pull this tab right here, you have more space to store stuff. Right now, you just have like the basic air pump and jack that it comes with. So I want to show you guys another cool feature that this car has. So it's bi-directional charging, so it could receive power and could give power out. So it comes with this nice adapter. So what this adapter does is that this goes into your charge port, and then boom, you have 120 for whatever reason you're camping or you lose power in your house. You just plug it right in, and you have 120 ready to go for whatever appliance that you need to run. Pretty cool for campers and so on. I'm going to give you guys a quick review of the interior and all the little features that it has. So first, I want to start off with this cool steering wheel. I like how it feels sporty. Then I like that they have a gauge here versus everything being over here, how other vehicles are. So this is pretty cool. Here on the steering wheel, you have the options to control the modes of the car. If you guys notice over here, you have Earth mode. Earth mode is like the eco mode. Then if you toggle through, you have Fun mode. That's like the comfort. It gives you power. It has 460 plus horsepower, over 360 mile range. And if you go to Hyper mode, It has exactly what that word stands for, is a hyper mode. It also has like a boost launch mode. You get 500 boosts, like if it's like the nitro for electric. So I find that pretty cool if you guys are into those type of things, speed. So fun mode is usually the mode you should be driving on. But if you're very conscious about burning up your miles, you keep it on Earth mode. Everything is a little bit limited, but it still drives pretty well and responds pretty well. And then over here, if you guys notice, it has a really large display. One cool feature it has is you press this button, hold it down for a couple seconds. It flips around so you guys can watch your whatever movies or whatever is going on. So that's pretty cool. And then over here, if you notice, you have two cup holders. You have two wireless charging mats. One cool thing is that I have a really large phone and with a case, and it actually fits and it charges it with no problem. So if you guys, whatever reason, find that your key fob battery dies, don't worry about it, because the key fob has like a chip like your credit cards have inside. It reads it in different locations of the car. So this is one of the locations you put it there to turn the car on. There's also another location under the steering wheel, and it has a little icon there. You place the key fob there if you're having issues turning the car on or if your battery died. Over here is a cool feature as well. This is a little desk that flips out. Pretty cool. When we take our breaks or whatever, want to do some work, eat some food, and it just slides right in, fits right in the nook. So just be careful, guys. One of the things my wife pointed out, she placed her phone here and then she loved it because it was cool while she was driving, but when I took a curve, everything just slid off. So just keep that in mind when you guys are driving. You put something here. This is a kind of a slippery surface. Maybe put some grip tape or some type of gripping material here, and you're gonna love it because you could just put things there. Over here you have this cool rear view mirror. It also has a camera. You just flip, and it goes from mirror mode or camera mode. So it's pretty cool for passengers and for drivers as well. So up here you guys have all the controls for your lighting. Controls here at the front. This one actually controls this right here, and then this one controls the lighting for the back. And over here you have your sunroof controls. This is to control the sunroof solar panel. You hit it, goes all the way back. You hit it again, it goes further back. And then over here you have the control to control your lift gate glass window. Your two visors fold down, you could adjust them. And then you have your little mirrors right here. So one of the things I want to touch upon here is like one of the features that electric drivers use is the brakeless driving. So you could just drive accelerating, let go of the accelerator, and the car naturally starts slowing down all the way to a stop. And when it goes to a stop, it naturally goes into a hold mode and it'll hold you like a parking brake. This one, I noticed that it'll keep rolling. It won't go into that hold mode. You have to physically hit the brake for it to go into that mode. The feature here is a little different. The hold doesn't engage when it goes to 0 miles per hour. It'll just keep rolling. So just make sure you engage the brake, and the hold pops up over here. So just keep that in mind. So another weird thing that I noticed that this vehicle has, it's a lag between the responsive buttons. You mainly will see it on the touchscreen. Sometimes you will see it also on the parking brake button. You have to take your time, press the button to engage it. It blinks like 3 times and then it engages, or it blinks 3 times and then it'll disengage. So just be patient with it. Same thing when you're gonna put it in drive or whatever mode. Just pay attention to your screen because of that weird lag of disengaging the parking brake. It engages on its own when the car stopped or thinks it's parked. Here, the touchscreen also has a weird lag in it, but it happens, I noticed, with all these electric vehicles. All the electric vehicles lag a little bit more than others. Others are more faster. The screen moves around like your phone, but we all here are used to our phones like moving at lightning speed. Some of these electric vehicles have a weird half a second lag. Another cool feature about the cameras that it has multiple cameras that you could choose different features, different views. I'm just going to toggle through them so you can see. One of the cool things I like is the 3D mode. Other cars, you know, puts the car image there. This one's pretty cool. It actually blends in pretty smooth, as you guys can see. I use it sometimes. I was using it when I was parking, when I get close to the curb, and so on. So it's pretty nice. The blending is really smooth. So I want to show you guys another feature back here. As you guys can see, it's pretty roomy. I'm a pretty big guy, 5'9", got good leg room. But one of the cool features I like here is that this comes down. This has a touchscreen LED to control some of the functions of the car from back here as a passenger. You could control the AC, the heating, all the heated seats as well, left passenger, right passenger. And you could also control the volume of the radio from here. And it has also little cup holders. And if you don't want to use this and you just want to use it as a regular armrest, turn off the display and it won't turn on, and use it as a regular armrest.